Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to Nova's Tarot Corner, a new segment on our channel. Nova is one of the characters that I play in our other stream, Twitch Slays D&D. So today we are going to be doing some readings. Ciara and I. Oh, I'm Gianna, by the way. This is Ciara.
Yeah, I'm a producer on our other show, Twitch Slays D&D.
Basically today we are going to be doing some readings. We're still learning. Nova's definitely a master tarot card reader. I'm not. Ciara is not. We are both still very new, but we're very interested in tarot and we want to learn more about it. And so we're doing that on Twitch.
Yeah,
because
so
might as well.
Obviously, playing a card reader in a D&D campaign, like, you have to do your research. You have to method act, and that really inspired us both to learn more about tarot. And so we decided to make this show to learn about the cards, to practice doing readings, and for you to practice and learn along with us. So we will be talking about different cards every stream. This stream we're going to be going through the cups cards and kind of talking through each one and what their meanings and interpretations can be. And in between all of that, we will be doing readings for you in the chat. You want to say some of your, like, what kind of readings you're going to be doing?
Oh yeah. Basically, we're going to be doing readings for, like, in general. You can if you want a love reading, a finance reading, career. What else? Is that it?
So you'll be doing a 3-card reading.
Yes, a 3-card reading.
Yeah.
So if you can see here, there's 3 cards here. As an example, these are some of my favorite tarot cards. This is will be where the past placement is. This is the present placement. This is the future placement. And then I'll make sure to go along and be like, okay, so for your past placement, this is the moon, and the moon represents da 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 da. And then for the present is the lovers, which that would be such an amazing card to have in your present if you have a love reading. And then you'll go into your future, and then we'll talk about that. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll just be doing the readings first come, first serve. So if you want any of the readings, general, love, finance, or career, just put that in the chat. I'll be keeping track of who asked in what order, and we'll just kind of intermittently do those readings. But at some point, if we get a huge list, we'll have to cut that off. So make sure to ask in the chat if you want one. First come, first serve.
Yeah. Is that all? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's about it. So let's just get started. So we're going to be talking about cups.
Yes.
So cups in general have always kind of stood for the emotions. It's always very connected to love and relationships. They're very good cards if you're asking for a love reading because they're always, shows romantic relationships. It doesn't have to be romantic. It can also mean family life and love. So if you're trying to get pregnant or if you are trying to start some other relationship in your life, the love cards or the cups cards are good signifiers of that.
Yeah, and it also, cups, each suit has its ties to the zodiac kind of. So cups will be water signs, swords will be air signs, and so on and so forth. But personally, I do love cups the most. It's my favorite suit, just because it's all about love and connection, and my little hopeless romantic heart just adores that. So yeah, I love the cups so much. It's so much fun when I get a cups in a reading. So what about you? What's your favorite suit?
I really like the wands. They're related to fire. I'm not a fire sign, but I really like the energy that the wands give. It's always related to career or projects or success is usually tied to wands, and so those usually signify you're starting a project and it's going to go well, or you need to balance your work home life, or you're going to put a lot of energy into this project and success will come. And so I feel like I'm a very project-based person. I really like to keep busy, and so the wands are my favorite because it's, showing that all of your hard work will pan out and you will be successful if you put the effort in and if you put the time in, which I find very helpful.
Yeah. I do love a lot. Sometimes I'm okay, maybe I want a reading more so for wands or because I'm oh, maybe I want to know what's going on in my career or so on and so forth. But I don't know. I just I love the different suits, and I think they're really interesting and all of that fun stuff. So anyway,
I'm less knowledgeable about the horoscope or the signs side of it. So I think you would be a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to like the star signs and how cups relate to the water signs and pentacles relate to the earth signs and all of that.
Yeah.
So I will defer to you for any questions about that.
I'm very much into astrology. Like, I don't necessarily
believe in it necessarily. Like, I'm not super this is the way, but I do like to branch out and learn different things because I think it's interesting and what is life if you're not continuously learning, you know?
Yeah.
So I started learning more about astrology beginning of 2020, and I'd be walking up to my friends and I'd be like, let me guess your sign, just so I can practice, and they'd be like, okay. And then I just get a vibe off of people. I'm like, how would you describe yourself? And then the way that they describe themselves, I can kind of go off of whether they're an earth sign or a water sign or air sign, fire sign. But yeah, I love the birth charts so much. I think they're so interesting.
Yeah.
We did yours.
Yeah.
And I was
I've always known my sun sign.
Yes.
I've always known my sun sign, but I don't know anything about any other signs because, when you have that big list of which one is you, I always just skip straight to Taurus and I don't look at any of the others. So I don't really know what any of the other signs personalities are like. And I didn't really know what moon sign or ascending sign were. So Gianna took me through the whole thing.
I did.
And I found out that I was both sun and moon Taurus. So really doubling down on those earth signs. But I am ascending Scorpio, which
it makes
Gianna
too
also
much
had to
sense.
explain to me because I had no idea what that meant.
It makes too much sense. Too much sense. Oh my God. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so accurate. And then other times I'm like, that's really interesting. I don't see that, but maybe I just don't know that person very well.
Right. Or there's your idea of who they are as a person is not how they see themselves.
Right.
Which, I know that I struggle with a lot. I definitely have what I think of myself and what I try to embody. And then I will ask people what they think of me, and I'll get vastly different answers. I think that's one of the reasons why I really like horoscopes or any kind of I don't want to say labeling system, but Hogwarts houses or when
what's your Hogwarts house though?
Gryffindor.
Okay. Makes sense.
But
I'm a Hufflepuff.
Literally on the edge of Ravenclaw, Hermione Granger level, I could have gone either way.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood. Or when Divergent was a thing, how they had their different classes. I know that a lot of people, don't like labeling themselves or putting a label on themselves, but I think that they're really powerful tools to try to encompass a very complex personality or concept in just a couple of words. You can say oh, I'm a Gryffindor, and there's a whole slew of things that embodies without having to literally sit and well, I think I'm very brave and I'm kind of reckless and rash. So I really, really like those kind of things, saying oh, I'm a Taurus or I'm a Gryffindor, because I can tell you exactly what I think about who I am in very few words, and then you can tell me oh, I thought of you more of a Ravenclaw, and that speaks worlds to me, that tells me so much about how you perceive me without having to go into finite detail. So
interesting. No, it's true though. I always do those personality tests or what Hogwarts house are you in, or which Disney movie do you represent, or those little tests.
Exactly.
And I'm I just love those so much. But I'm a Hufflepuff, clearly. I mean I think anyone can call that from a mile away.
Yeah.
Period. But it's just, I don't know, it's really interesting, and with my birth chart, I'm Aquarius sun, Gemini moon, and Gemini rising. And so I'm all air, which is a lot, but and everyone's oh, you're a Gemini, and I'm I love Geminis. I don't want to hear the slander, Geminis are supposed to be two-faced, very they're one way or they're another way, or they're one way on the outside, and
you know, when they're in private, they're like a completely different person. Which,
Okay.
like, I don't think that's me.
I was gonna say, do you feel that way about yourself?
No,
No,
not
okay.
at all. And like that's just like a stereotype. Like there's a lot
Right.
of like stereotypes with each sign.
Right.
And like even for Aquarius, like everyone's like, oh yeah, Aquarius is like don't have feelings or like they don't have emotion. And I'm like, I beg to differ. I cry at like literally every movie, and like I show a lot of emotion. Like I'm just like a very emotional person in general. So it's like I just don't think like when it comes to like zodiac signs that's necessarily the case. Like it's not always the stereotype, you know?
Right.
Like there are things where it's like Aquarius is like, oh, they're like kind of scared of intimacy or whatever, and I'm like, in a way, like I kind of relate. Like there are things that I kind of relate to, and
You
when-
like desperately want it, but also
yes, it's
you're
like
afraid. 'cause
yeah,
what, it's
exactly,
not perfect.
exactly.
Or, you know, any
So
of those things.
it's just like there's a lot that like my brother and I are both Aquariuses, and like we've never really like I don't know, we just like never have been in a long-term relationship because
Okay.
we're like scared of like being rejected or like opening up and like having them like the person shut us down, you know? We're getting so deep. I'm like,
Episode 1, yeah.
God, I'm like, it's 9 in
We're
the
like a
morning.
few
I
minutes
shouldn't
in.
be talking about this. But it's like, I don't know, like, is that your star sign? Like, is that or your sun sign, or is that like because you like my brother and I grew up in the same household and we kind of have like like we're similar,
Right,
you know?
right. Nature versus nurture. Like,
Yeah,
Did you guys learn that from each other, or is it because you're both?
yeah. It's like I
Aquarius?
don't
No, that's the. You're both Gemini.
Aquarius.
You're both okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we were both. He was born in January, end of January. I was born beginning of February. So we're like only a few days apart.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
How many years apart?
He's 20, so
Okay.
he's about to turn 21, and then I'm about to turn 23, so we're only
Okay.
2 years apart. And then my mom's an Aquarius. So my brother's January 27th, my mom's January 31st, I'm February 5th, my dad's March 15th. We're literally all within
Wow,
like
that's
2
like-
months. Yeah.
The budget. You know how like usually people have like around Christmas, it's like, oh man, I have to buy so many presents. But your
Yeah.
family, it's like February, March. You're like, dang, all these presents.
Literally. And then
my
like the rest of the
money.
year, it's like nothing.
And then Christmas.
Yeah. So much. But yeah, anyway, like that's just like my intake on like like the sun signs and like zodiac and stuff. Like
Excuse that I'm going to continuously look this direction. I am keeping track of the chat so that if any of you ask for a reading, I can write it down. Quick reminder, if you want a reading, just feel free to message in the chat. I'll write your name down and we'll go in order.
perfect.
But yeah, so that's really funny that like your whole family kind of are very similar
Yeah.
sign-wise. I don't know any signs but myself, but our birthdays are pretty split out in my family. Me and my brother are kind of close. We both have May birthdays, but he's a Gemini and I'm a Taurus because I'm right on the cusp.
Okay.
And then my sister's in September. My mom is in December and my dad's in October. So they're kind of
Okay, wait.
all,
Your sister's in September,
yeah.
and is she Virgo or Libra? When's
I
her-
think she's Libra.
Okay.
September
is she end of
28th.
Libra?
Yeah, she's,
Which I love.
so she's
another
a Libra,
sign.
yeah.
And then your mom is when?
December 13th,
And your dad is when?
October 13th.
Oh my God, the 13th.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And then they got married on the 14th. They were trying to get married on the 13th because they got married in November. So it would have been dad October 13th, and then wedding anniversary November, and then mom December. But I think the 13th that year was like a Friday, so they did it one day later to be on the weekend. So their anniversary is November 14th. But hey, it makes it really easy for them to remember.
Yeah, very true, very true. But that's so cute that they got right in the between. Their
Right in
birthdays.
between, they got married right between their birthdays. Yeah. So then them two with the gifts.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
birthday, anniversary, another birthday, Christmas.
Right, exactly. That is so funny. My parents' anniversary is in April. Wait, February, March, April. Oh, I guess that's after my dad's birthday, so I guess that makes sense. It's like all like in the first 4 months of, everything happens in the first 4 months of the year. It's like my brother's birthday, my mom's birthday, mine, my mom's and dad's wedding anniversary. So much. But yeah, so that's the tea, you know? Just like starting off 9 in the morning, we're getting down and serious, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
man.
let's talk about our family life.
Yeah, let's just do that.
And how we're afraid of love.
And it's not that I'm scared of love, it's just like, I think I'm scared of the rejection.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I even had I got my reading done in October, and the witch was like, you're gonna find love within 6 months. And I was like, that's on period. Like, I love that for me, but like, I guess we'll see. And she was like, the only thing is, like, she was like, I see that, like, you're really, like, you're in your own way. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, like, you're scared of opening up because you're scared that you're gonna get rejected by the other person. And I was like, I've never been more called out in my entire life. Like, it's so true. Like, I just feel like I'm not, like, worthy if I'm with somebody. Like, I'm like, how did I deserve you, you know? Like, and I don't know.
How did they deserve you?
Stop.
Excuse you.
Okay, again,
Number
vending
one.
machine, wrinkly dollar bill. I'm just gonna give that right back to
Take
you.
that compliment right back out. Oh my gosh.
But-
the same thing happened to me on a work call the other day. They were like, oh, you know, we like really appreciate you and like, you know, you're a star. And I was just like, this is a work call. Excuse me. And I was just like, uncomfortable. Thank you, but like, please take that back.
Yeah, me.
I'm a millennial. I prefer to be beaten at work and then given pennies and then said, here.
I'm literally dead. That's so
I
funny.
want to be paid minimum wage and told to go away.
Oh my god. That is. I'm
I
like,
can't be valued at work. That's not the
what is that? I don't know what
that's
that
not the
means. Like,
millennial work experience.
what? That's.
I'm a cog in the machine that's easily replaceable. What are you talking about? I don't know.
Ciara, I'm dead. Oh my god. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about the Ace of Cups? I kind
We
of.
probably should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just like get into tarot, everybody.
Let's just like start talking.
Okay, so I'm gonna open up my handy dandy notebook.
Me too. So if anyone is starting off tarot, what book do you recommend?
Oh, I got this one at my nearest metaphysical shop. They were like,
Support small business.
exactly, thank you. I got this book. The witches there were like, oh, it's like really great for beginners. It's like really detailed. So it's called a Guide to the Everyday Witch Tarot by Deborah Blake, and the art is by Elizabeth Alba. The art is like really detailed, so it makes it really easy to read. Because like some decks, it's like very simple.
Very minimalistic.
Yeah, and it's like, ooh, the aesthetic's nice, but like I don't know what the hell that means.
I don't remember anything about this card. Yeah.
Exactly. And so
At least starting off.
right.
Once you get like really into it.
yeah, then it's like once you know the cards like back and
You
forth.
can get like an aesthetically pleasing deck that
Yeah.
like fits your mood.
yeah, and you're like the Four of Wands means, and it's like boom, you like
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Stability in a project, because the four wands create like the walls of a house, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's like, this is a moment you've been working really hard on a project, but now it's the time, like you've hit kind of like a plateau where you can rest, you can take a break, you can kind of celebrate the victories you've had so far.
Shut up.
Am I right?
Wait.
Let me check.
It literally says, okay. No matter where it falls in the reading, the Four of Wands is a great card. If it is your final card, it is a pretty good indication of a happy future. And it's like, congratulations. Sometimes you have to celebrate the day, whether there's a special occasion, the achievement of a goal, or just because the sun is shining. Gather up your friends and family and enjoy the moment. It's just like a celebratory card.
Yeah, so I'm using the Easy Tarot Handbook by Josephine Ellershaw, which came with my tarot deck, conveniently.
Yeah,
So I
mine did too.
Yeah. And mine says, we now see stability as a result of all the hard work that's gone before. Not only feeling satisfied with what you've accomplished, but a sense of harmony. You can afford to reward yourself with some time off.
Wait, I can't believe you knew.
Wands are my favorite. So I know the wands pretty
Honestly,
well, and
I
then
love
everything
that.
after that, I'm like,
You're
let
like,
me
"Oh,
check.
I can't remember. That's
Yeah.
so good. Oh my gosh.
The Ace of Cups, though.
Ace of Cups, right? Correct. Okay, I remember seeing this. I think I was like reading up on my tarot deck, and I was like, ooh, let's see what the cups mean.
Do you want to show the camera your Ace
yeah,
of Cups?
I'll take these ones away.
Oh, I gotta find it. That is gonna be. I should have probably. I don't know. I should have had the cards probably laid out.
First episode, we're learning.
Yeah. But like, let's
So
see.
yeah, as we were talking about before, the cups symbolize romance, relationships, emotion, family, connections, all of that good, warm feelings. So the ace of any card is always symbolizing beginnings. It's, the numbers of the minor arcana kind of symbolize like, it's 1 to 10, with each one getting more extreme or like more towards the end, 10 being like the full realization of whatever that suit implies. So if you have an ace, it's like things are just starting, whether that be a new relationship, new romance. If it's a ace of wands, it's you're just starting a new project, you're just starting a new career or job. So the ace always stands for new beginnings or starting off of things, and then the 10 is usually like the ending, like you've made it, this is good, this is a good place, you're in harmony, you're in full realization. So
Yeah.
as we go through, it's a sliding scale of like from beginning to end.
Right. Correct. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing. Well, I found my card. You did that. So this is the Ace of Cups. Basically, like, again, this is like a really like, my card is very like easy to read. I'm not even gonna try to read it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna like try to go off of like
Yeah.
what the card is.
Okay. Basically, there's a lot of water overflowing the cup, and so that means that like she has a lot of abundance, and she is like overflowing with like so much that's going on in her life. The witch in the card, and like just like good stuff is happening, but like there's like a little cat down here like drinking from the water that
I like her
she's
background
filled.
too. She's like
Yeah.
in a forest.
She's like really chill, like she's
Just vibing out here. I'm like, I love her.
but yeah, just like her literally like she has so much going for her that like her cup is overflowing with like greatness,
I love that.
I think that's what it means.
I think I'm right.
Okay. It says you're clearly blessed. Joy and fulfillment are yours for the taking, but don't wait too long, for such moments can be fleeting. And it says the Ace of Cups is a fabulous card, representing a gift from the universe. There's no way to predict the form such a gift will take, but because it is a cup card, it may well involve emotions in the spirit. Keep yourself open to grace and possibility, and when it appears, don't let it slip past. Consider yourself blessed.
So I really like, because obviously we both learned from different books and they have kind of different interpretations. So I really like how your examples in your book are more like open-ended in terms of like it's not sticking necessarily to like cups equals romance. It's yours is very like you could be overflowing with a lot of different things right now, and so that leaves a lot of room during readings for interpretation. Like if you're doing a career reading and you pull the Ace of Cups,
Right.
you're not gonna like halt in your spot and be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It allows you to like really integrate that meaning with whatever reading you're doing, and like you can take the context of the other cards. Mine is a little bit different in the interpretation, and it's really cool because as you get familiar with your separate tarot decks, you like kind of associate your own meanings, or like as you do more and more readings, start to sense a pattern with like what cards mean what. So mine is kind of talking about how the cup does stand for emotions. So the Ace of Cups is the start of a new relationship, the beginning of love, the beginning of happiness. It can also represent, like, if you have other cards in context, it can represent, like, the birth of a child, if you have other indications of that. The start of something new, so, like, it could be a new home, new family. But it also stands for, like, bliss, which I think your card was really narrowing down on that specifically, was, like, this is euphoria, this is, like, that first blush of love, or that first thrill of something new and exciting, like that first intoxicating, like when you get a new obsession, or like when you start a new project, that like first like, oh, I'm so excited about this thing.
Yeah.
And that's like really cool and really good. And like with certain context, I feel like that could be good or a bad thing, because also, I think it can kind of warn like the first like rush and thrill is great, but like it fades, and so then you have to like like you have to land on a place of stability, and you can't just keep jumping from like one high to the next,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So even though this is like a really positive card, the great thing about tarot is like in the context of the rest of the cards, it doesn't necessarily have to be negatively like turned upside down to like warn you of positives and negatives. And I at least in my learning of tarot, I don't do inversions because I think that cards can be interpreted positively or negatively depending on the situation and the surrounding cards. I also shuffle in such a way that like cards shouldn't really be turning upside down inside my deck, and I try to flip consistently. I know people kind of go back and forth on that. Some people are very much like, oh, if it's inverted, it means like the opposite, or like that's what's blocking you, or that's the obstacle instead of like the positive. But I think that like can get confusing. I don't know, at least in my, like it seems like I would rather just like take all of the cards in and like try to interpret them as a unit and in context. And if all the other surrounding cards are negative, then you can kind of assume that this one's negative as well, instead of like only depending on it being upside down to tell you that meaning.
Right.
I don't know what your personal opinions on that are.
I only started learning about like reversal cards.
That's the way it's called.
Yeah,
Inversion.
I only
I don't know the lingo.
Yeah, more or less the same. I started learning about them because I ended up on Witch Talk on TikTok. So it's like I would come on like the For You page and it'd be like a tarot reading, and I was like, I'm like, my FBI agent knows so much. Like, damn, like this really is the For You
got
page.
you. Yeah.
So it was like, oh, like here's a tarot reading, and then it was like, oh, here's a reversal card. And or oh, it's like this card in reverse, and I was like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know what that means. And it was basically like, oh, it can mean the opposite, or like you said, like what's blocking you, or I don't know, like it's kind of confusing, and I feel like it's confusing for beginners because it's like you're trying to get to know the deck, and then you pull a reversal card, and you're like, wait, I have another meaning to like now. Remember,
it's like learning a new language, and like you jump straight into like conjuration, or and you're like the verbs have to be done this way, and you're like, I don't even know what this means yet. Now you're talking about like changing the verb ending.
Right.
I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, it's like a whole other like it's a whole other thing, and it's just like so much. But like I think it depends on maybe your comfortability like reading. If you aren't as experienced, like maybe don't do reverse cards, but like if you are and like you want to add like a little spice, a little flavor, maybe like start like I don't know, like practicing with like reversed cards and stuff. But like personally, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, and again, I play a lot of like board games and card games where like you have to be really careful the way you shuffle. So I've learned how to shuffle very delicately, and so I don't like gamble shuffle where like cards would end up upside down. I kind of like if they're all right side up the way I shuffle, they all stay right side up. So I just think like for the sake of my tarot cards, to keep them in as good condition as possible for as long as possible, I'm going to keep shuffling that way, and then that way like the reversals is just not going to easily happen unless like a card flies out and like ends up upside down.
Right, and then it's like screaming at you, and you're like,
right.
Okay, like I hear you, I got you. Let me put you
got
it. I'm like, let me just show you off a little bit. Clearly, you want to speak, but okay, I'm gonna put a little tarot like to mark my place in the book so I don't lose it. And then if a reading comes, I'll just take it out. But yeah, so I'm still learning about reversal cards, and like I don't want to give a reading where there's a reversal right now because I don't want to read it wrong or like
negatively.
Right. Like I don't want to interpret something like differently than like what it's supposed to mean. And so I'm kind of like I'd rather play it safe than like kind of take my risks, you know. But yeah, so it's really interesting though. Like, have you done readings on like anyone you know? Like,
I did, yeah. When I first got my deck a couple years ago, I practiced on myself for quite a while, and then I did one for a close friend at the time and my roommate, just to practice. And And the one on my roommate seemed to go pretty well. The one on my other close friend seemed all over the place. But I also didn't, know her life. So I was just kind of like describing the impressions that I got and like what I thought the cards meant. And, she kind of, nodded like it made sense to her, even if it didn't make sense to me. Like if she, took what she could from it and, if it meant something to her, that was all that's important.
Yeah, exactly. I've done a few readings on like my brother. Like he's obsessed with it. He's like, can I get a tarot reading? And I'm like, yeah, I can give you a tarot. And he's like, can you do like a really detailed one? I'm like, I'll try my best. I'm gonna need my book.
I need that support in my life.
Yeah.
I was like really invested.
Yeah, like I did one for him on I think Christmas Eve, and my dad walked in and he was like, the occult shit, and I was like, okay, Clifton, walk out of the room, get out of here.
We don't need that energy in this space.
Yeah, I was like, get your Catholic ass out of my room. Like, I don't need this. And so my brother was like, I was giving him a reading, and he wanted one on like career because he's like in college, but he's like trying to look for internships, and so he's like, I just need guidance, and I was like, I got you. Like, say less. So I like did a whole like reading with like 10 cards, and like each card, it was so crazy. Like every card was like kind of like was fitting. Like it was like finishing the next card, and then like it would like I'd read the next card and it would like complete what the card before it did. So I was like, literally, tarot is so real. Like, what is going on? And so it was basically like you have to make, his whole overall theme was like you have to make a decision, because like otherwise if you don't make a decision, like it's like the moment's fleeting, and like if you don't, it's gonna like your opportunity is gonna pass you by. And so I was like, clearly you have some like decision making to do. And I was like, it doesn't matter which one you like, which internship you pick. It's like just pick one and like it'll lead you down the right path. Just like follow your gut was like his overall message. And he was like, holy shit, like this is it. Like I love this. And I was like, honestly, I love that for me. But like every reading I've done has been pretty much like, it's been pretty good. Everyone's like, ooh, like like, what is it? I resonate with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like really interesting because I'll either do like, obviously on the show I do like a one card, because I'm like, I don't want to go too far into a reading and like take away from other people's moments, like, yeah, it's like with me and Cal Luna, like we'll be doing a reading, but I just do one because it's like, it's easier.
I also feel like it's very convoluted to be doing a reading for a person pretending to be another character. Like, what energy are you getting in this room? Is it from, Nucci, or is it from Cal? Like,
yeah, it's
who's informing these cards
right
now?
And that's what I was so worried about the first time when we did the first reading. I was like, oh, we all just roll a d20 and like we'll come up with an answer or something. And then I was just like it was kind of like, oh, I don't know what I should do. Should I roll a d20? Should I actually do a reading? Like, how's this gonna work? But I did want to involve tarot because I'm like, Nova's a tarot card reader. Yeah. Like, she's not going to just not have her tarot cards with her. Right. Like, that doesn't make
crystals
sense.
And
everything
else she needs. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, Homegirl's been doing, like, tarot readings for so long. She's just not going to have, like, she's not going to do any readings, like, when she's out adventuring. Come on. No. So, obviously, I talked to Devin, and I was like, how do we incorporate tarot? And he was like, oh, we'll figure it out. And then, like, literally, I was put on the spot. And I was like, oh, my God, this is crazy. But, yeah, so that, it's just, like, it's really crazy to, like, do a reading on someone who's not really themselves. Like, they're a character. But, like, everyone I pulled for Cal has been accurate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you don't even know, like, his whole backstory or anything. Like, like, Devin... Obviously, I don't even know it all, but Devin, worked with Nucci to put together his character's backstory and all that stuff. So I'm sure that he had a good chuckle when you pulled that card. And,
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what Nucci's hiding, or Cala's hiding.
Yeah. It was so interesting because Gianna knew that Cal Luna was hiding something. Like I don't think Nova knew. And I wasn't going to be like, what's that on your arm? Like, why are you hiding something from me? Because
it's
like,
just a decorative bandage.
Yeah,
I don't know
obviously.
what you're talking about.
Whatever. But yeah, when I pulled like the what was it, Seven of Swords, I think, and I was like, "Are you hiding something?" And I was like, "This guy is like being really like suspicious and like stealing stuff, or like he's being mischievous. Like, what's going on?" And I was like, I look back on that reading and I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like Cal told me about the mark, and he was obviously hiding something. It's just, oh my god, it was just so crazy.
Yeah, that's...
What does your book say about
The Seven of Swords? Situations not going as you anticipated, bad luck, theft. It talks about theft. So it says like take precautions and be careful, you know. Situations where something's taken in greed, without guilt, a level of unfairness, and then it also is using diplomacy against heavy-handed methods. So instead of like sinking to violence, like make sure that you keep a level head, because I mean that's what the swords generally stand for, is like cutting through bullshit and like keeping emotions out of it and just staying like diplomatic and logical and like cold. The swords sometimes are like associated with like, you know, kind of stoic logic over emotion. So yeah, all of those things, and you know, me, no spoilers, knowing what I know about Cal's backstory, that is very perfect, you know, with the like level of shadiness that's going around. And I think you as Gianna heard it. I don't know if Nova heard it, but when Cal was talking about some of his past memories. Or no? Okay.
I don't know.
Not gonna go there. No spoilers.
Okay.
I think he and Bot had a conversation.
Oh, was it
just
this last
episode
session?
where he was talking about?
He was like, oh, the roots of the tree and like the roots and the branches and
it
the
wasn't
leaves.
this last episode. It was a few episodes ago, but they were kind of conversing about memories.
I think it's interesting that Bot and Cal like don't know about their past.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's what
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to spoil that Cal like doesn't know his past.
No.
but-
He's made it known
okay,
that he's
okay.
like, I don't know.
So that is common knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that's what he told Nova. He was like, I don't know where this mark came from. Like, I can't remember. And so, like, in game and out of game, I know that.
Okay,
Cal
so Nova does know that.
Yeah.
So I think that the Seven of Swords is kind of cool because it could be like literally like the theft of his memories. You know, like.
Whoa! Oh! I wasn't even thinking like that. I was thinking so literal. I'm like, maybe in his past he was like a thief, ha ha ha, you know? Like,
Oh, no, I was thinking like, oh, that's kind of perfect because it's, you know, things taken without guilt is like, you know, somehow his memories are gone and like what happened to them and like what deception happened there, you know, so.
God, I'm like, suddenly we're doing so much like psychoanalysis on the cards and the reading. I'm loving that. And then I think the week after I pulled the Five of Cups, which we'll talk about later. But it's basically like you're crying over spilt milk when there's something like so great happening behind you.
Yeah,
And, like
yeah.
you're turned away because you're focused on like.
Was that for Cal or was that for another?
No, that was for Cal.
That
I think
was
I've
for Cal
only done
again.
readings for Cal. I don't think I've done a reading for Israfel, Blackstone, or Bot.
Okay.
Which I'm looking forward to doing those readings.
I am too. I just, you know, more readings.
Yeah.
More readings in canon and out of canon.
So true. And that's why we're here, you know?
That's why we're here. That's
Yeah.
the birth of this show.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to like Nova trying to get Israfel to like do a reading if he's willing.
What would Il Matter say about
I'm
that?
like, it don't matter. What's going on there? This last episode, Nova finding out that Isra's an agnostic. That was shocking.
This whole time she was like, oh, me and you know, different gods, but we both believe.
Yeah,
And
we
then
both believe, and suddenly he's like,
no.
he's like, oh, I believe if it's real, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't, like, whatever happens, happens. And I'm like, what? What's going on? Oh my god, that was so crazy.
Yeah, how is Nova the most religious one of this group?
Straight up, like, literally. The girl is literally so crazy. I'm like,
She's not crazy.
she's chaotic. She's a little chaotic.
She's chaotic.
Like, literally the gold. I'm like, which, no spoilers, I'll but like, the gold.
Nova loves
like,
gold. We all know.
I know. I mean, who doesn't love gold, you know?
Bot wants more gold, but then as soon
Right?
as something happens, he spends it.
Yeah. Bot just like doesn't know how to budget.
No.
And that's okay, you know?
We also have not had very many gold like centric missions.
Yeah,
Like
that's
we haven't gotten any missions where we get back and it's like, okay, here's 300 gold to split between your party.
Well,
It's like,
true. You know, Nova's tried, but
Ernie,
I'm like, Ernie, where's the gold?
where's our money?
Yeah. Oh my god, we literally saved him from like literally
A spider,
dying.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, like, oh, I'm out of the office today. I'm like, where's my gold? Oh my god.
I have rent to pay.
Literally, I'm like, I'm sorry, can you like be in your office for once? Like,
Yeah,
have some office hours, bro.
We got wizards in the party. They need like 50 GP to buy paper so they can learn new spells. Where are we gonna get that 50 GP?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think it's funny that Israfel can't learn anything from Nova. That's so sad.
There's not a single.
I don't think, nothing that I know.
Oh, okay.
That
So there are some wizard and warlock
I'm
crossed
sure.
spells, but no, you don't know any of them.
Yeah, right. Especially since I'm such a like low level, I only have a certain amount of spells.
Right.
And he was like, "Ooh, what spells?" Like he was looking up like Eldritch Blast, Toll the Dead, Cure Wounds he can't. I'm like, so crazy. But I'm like, I don't know. You would think that he like grew up being a cleric, you know, but I don't know his backstory, you know. So I thought, oh, maybe like he grew up being a cleric, but he's technically a wizard. That he would maybe want. I mean, he could learn Cure Wounds.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
think that's kind of what was revealed last episode, though, is that he doesn't have a connection to Ilmater.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
therefore he can't do any of the spells that would require channeling divinity,
So true.
which is why he just became a wizard instead.
Yeah.
He's like, well, gotta do it myself, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like he's gonna learn rather than have it
Yeah,
given to him.
he's doing it the hard way.
Yeah, respect to Isra.
Little book nerd that's like, I don't have magical powers, I'll just do it myself. I'll learn it all.
OMG.
Glasses flash
Oh my
emoji,
god.
like-
Okay, let me look for the Three of Cups. I'm gonna have that one. I'm just gonna like hold on to the cup cards so then I have them out.
Yeah, speaking of, we could probably go on to the 2. We're
Yeah,
making
let's-
great time. We're 45 minutes in, we're at the 2 of Cups.
Jeez.
All right.
Okay.
So,
I'm like, we gotta go. I feel like we just started. But
good company.
honestly, I love that for us.
So as I was talking about, because the minor arcana goes from 1 to 10, you start with the ace, and then the 2 is like the next step. So if the ace of cups represents like new beginnings, a new relationship, the bliss of that first like surge of something new and exciting, the 2 of cups is now like the reality of it. So like ace of cups is like you're waiting for that new relationship, you're really excited, like that's what you want, and then 2 of cups is like, okay, now you're in a relationship, like it's come to fruition, it's started. You're not wishing anymore, like you found that person, whether it be a romantic relationship or some other like familial or career relationship. And it kind of talks about like, you know, both the joys and the pitfalls of a new relationship. So again, like with the Ace of Cups, it's like that surge of like excitement and happiness and love and all this new fresh stuff, but then also like, okay, you're in a relationship now and that takes work. So just be wary of like, you know, you're gonna have discussions and disagreements and arguments, and like just to keep in mind that if you want things to work out, that you have to work through those and not let those like stumble you along the way.
Right.
It also usually represents, like, if you're not talking about romantic relationships, like harmony and unity, because, you know, the 2 is a very balanced number. You know, we think of like scales and justice and all of those where it has the 2 sides. So the 2 of Cups can also just mean like finding that balance, finding that harmony, keeping in mind like 2 things in your life, whether that be like work-life balance or whether that be, again, like with a relationship, like the balance between the 2 in the relationship, making sure that everything is even and like everyone's an equal member of the relationship, just keeping everything in balance.
Yeah. Perfectly said.
So this is your 2 of
This
Cups
is my
card.
2 of Cups. Like, look how cute. They have like the guy and the girl, and like
they're just drinking some wine on the sunset on the beach, or during sunset on the beach.
I love that they're toasting. Like,
I
that's such a
know,
great representation of like 2 cups. Clink.
Exactly. So cute. And then there's like little cats down here like sharing a fish. And I think that's just so cute. Like, there's no cups here, but they're still having a connection, you know? Oh, I love it so much. But yeah, it's like my book says attraction, compatibility, and partnership, a cup shared can be start of many good things. And if you asked about love, it is pretty clear that the answer is a resounding yes. Of course, you might have asked, is this relationship worth hanging on to? In which case the answer is also yes, unless you know your heart. Unless you know in your heart that what you are looking for, this partnership and commitment, isn't going to happen in whatever relationship you were asking about. But it's like thoroughly a positive card. And like if you get this card in a reading, whether it be for love, finance, anything like that, like it's a very good card to get. It's just like, yeah, it's based on trust and mutual respect. And like obviously that's good no matter what the reading's about.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
Like in work, you know, just mutual respect between you and a coworker, or you and a boss,
Yeah,
in
exactly.
love, and like in your family, you know, if you're having like disputes with members of your family, just
Yeah.
keeping in mind mutual respect.
yeah,
And
like
that everyone's equals, you know?
maybe if you get this card in a reading, like for like career, it'll be like, oh, like you're gonna have like a, what's it called? Like a good rekindling of like, I don't know, it would
Like a reconnection
Yeah.
with someone that you might have like
Yeah.
kind of been keeping at a distance.
right, or it's like maybe, you know, if this happens in your like future, if this is in the future like card placement, it could be like this is like the connection with the job that you want, and like maybe you'll be really connected with either the job or the boss or you know, your like the place of work.
Oh yeah, so it's like this future job, you're gonna just click
Yeah.
with somebody, or the place, like the
Yeah.
atmosphere, you're just gonna feel right at home.
Yeah, like it's a really good
That is a
connection
really
for
good
you,
card then,
and like
yeah.
there's obviously like they respect you as much as you respect them or it. So I don't know. The Two of Cups is just always a good one to have.
Yeah.
You know. So unless it's in your past, then it's like you had it. Let's see what your future
Yeah, it
is.
doesn't necessarily mean you don't still have it, but again,
Yeah.
because it's such a low number, it's like talking about the beginnings of things. So
Right.
maybe you started at the 2, you had it, and now we're moving forward to like even more stable, like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the 3 of Cups, which is about celebrations.
Right.
Which, segue.
Hello, Three of Cups.
3 of Cups. This one is always, I think it's even like termed the celebration card. It usually shows, like in yours, it has the 3 women toasting. In mine, it also has 3 women kind of dancing with cups, and it always symbolizes like time to party.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
things
Like-
are going good.
Yeah, it says the Three of Cups almost always represents a group of women, although there's not much to say it couldn't stand for any supportive bunch of people. They may be family or friends, but either way, you know you can rely on these particular folks to be there for you. Who do you celebrate with in your life? If you can't answer that question, it may be time to create your own circle of kindred spirits. Hopefully, you are fortunate enough to know who these witches stand for in your life, and who you'll be sharing joy with, and you will be sharing joy with them in the future.
That's
So,
really nice.
Yeah, it's just like all about celebrating, and like it has like at the top it'll have like a little quote that like maybe helps you remember like the card better.
Yeah.
So it's like dance as if no one's watching and raise a cup to joy and friendship, which
Love.
so cute. I love that.
I also really like that it's telling you to like think of who you like to celebrate with. You know,
Yeah.
they always say like, there's that silly thing that's like, when you get good news, who's the first person that you want to tell? That's the person that like you're in love with.
Yeah.
And like doesn't have to be romantic, but like yeah. So like if you have something exciting like news that you're gonna celebrate, who are those people that you're gonna celebrate with?
Right.
Like have you talked to them recently?
Yeah.
Especially like in quarantine. Like I have a lot of my best friends don't even live in state, and I am really bad about staying in touch if people aren't like in front of me, I have object permanence problems, I guess, which is why my room is also always a mess, because if I need to remember to do something, I have to literally leave it out, like on a desk where it's visible, because if I put it away in a drawer somewhere, whatever I needed to do with that object, I will not do. So with my friends like that live out of state, I have a really hard time like messaging them or chatting with them or FaceTiming with them, because I just like, I'm really focused on what's in front of me right now and the people that like are nearby. So that's really cool that it's like, you know, who are those people that you'll celebrate with, you know, and do you have those people? If not, maybe it's time to like go find them.
Right. Yeah.
Really just in general, like a really happy card.
Yeah. Going back to like your friends and stuff, I mean, again, we're just chatting, just like, you know, having a good time.
Yeah.
So obviously with quarantine, we haven't been able to like keep up with like our friends. Like it's more like, oh, you FaceTime them or like you text them. Like I've also struggled in that. Like I've been like, I don't know, like how to, I'm really bad with like texting. I'm a really bad texter. And so like I'll literally have like 50 messages on my phone that I don't read for like days, because I'm just like, I just can't. Like,
no.
It's so much. And so like a week after someone's texted me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm just reading my texts. But yeah, like it's been really difficult to keep like relationships or friendships going. So like for you, has like when you get to like go and hang out with your friends or like talk to them again, it's been a while, like is it really to pick up where, like is it really easy to pick up where you left off, or do you find it like?
I think like with my best friends it is, because they're kind of the same way. Like obviously if I have trouble reaching out to them, they're also not reaching out to me. I'm I think a really good texter in terms of like if someone texts me, I respond really quickly, but I just have problems sometimes initiating it if I'm not focused on it, because I get like busy with my own things. So yeah, it's kind of just like, you know, they'll message me having not talked to me in a while and just be like, oh hey, I miss you, and it was like, yeah, I miss you too, like I'm really glad you reached out, or I'll do the same thing. But because, you know, we've known each other like long enough, or we just know each other deeply enough, it's like we could be silent for months.
Right.
And if I just like randomly texted like a meme, you know, it's just like you just pick back up and like true friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I get that. Like that's how it is with like most of my friends. But there are ones that like, you know, they just kind of dwindle and they just like go away, which is like sad, but it's also like my mom. Kind of going off with like what Cataluna said this last session, with like the tree, which I've never heard before,
wise.
And that was, I was like
Still
wait.
shook.
I was like, what's your wisdom? But my mom always has told me, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and I was like, that's good.
That
like,
is good.
Holy shit! Like I always keep that in my mind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think everything happens for a reason, in my opinion, but like. Obviously, it might be like, oh, I meet someone like in a class at Cal State Fullerton where I was like attending. It's like we do a project together. It's like, oh, they come into my life for a season. Like, I never see them again.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but
like school friends, I feel like, or like even work friends, if it's like a smaller part-time job, definitely are like you bond through. I always say bond through trauma. Like you bond,
it's true,
because you sit next to each other in class and you see each other every day, and the class is hard, and like you just need someone to talk to like for your mental sanity. But then as soon as you graduate, you never see that person again.
Yeah.
Or even like the next semester if you don't have that class anymore.
Right.
And like that's not saying that what you shared isn't important, because it was important in the moment and you both got through it together. But if it doesn't, you know, continue after that, that's you know what you were there for each other for, and now you're ready to move on.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I agree, and so it's really interesting. Especially with quarantine. Like, it really has been telling like who was super important in my life and who wasn't. Not in like a shady or bad way, but it's like, you know, obviously like I'm more of a FaceTime person myself. Like, I want to FaceTime people because I like that like. Face-to-face
connection.
Yeah. Like I'm just very much, I don't know. It's just something that I do. Like if I want to talk to someone, I FaceTime them. I don't text them.
Well, and so much communication, like 55% of it is nonverbal.
Yeah.
So.
So true. Yeah. So true. And everyone like does not realize that. And I'm like, that's like the best part of
Yeah.
being in person with somebody is like,
All the facial expressions.
Yeah.
It tells so much more.
especially
Tone
with
is
me.
helpful too, but like even over the phone, you know, is better than text, but still difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Even with me, like me especially, I'm very reactionary. And so like my facial expressions are like literally all over the place, and like I talk with my hands, and I'm like
Oh, yeah.
really
Oh,
big
yeah.
and like whatever. So it's like I feel like for me it's like 75% is nonverbal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I'm so like big. But
so in the chat, and I apologize, I
that's
might
okay.
be pronouncing your username wrong, but Mary Botticelli would like a reading. So they asked for us to pick a card. We're doing 3-card readings. It gives us just a little bit more context. So we can do love, general, career, or finance. So if you like, you can pick one of those categories, and we can do a 3-card reading for you.
yay!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how exciting! Okay, let me put my stuff in the deck so I can get ready.
Yeah,
for
start
this.
shuffling, get ready.
Yeah. I'm just gonna kind of put them wherever they want to be. Welcome to the chat and the stream. Let's see here. Okay. Let me get my. Ooh, I'm gonna take this out. Sorry for the blackness. Not as fun. Let me know what they want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they're still deciding.
Okay. Cool. I'm not a good shuffler. No one judge me. I'm really bad, but again, I'm still learning.
Right, and tarot cards are so much bigger than normal cards, so even if you're a good shuffler with normal cards, it's much more difficult.
Yeah.
With the larger size.
Yeah, and again, I have very like petite hands, and so I just.
All right, so they are asking for a love reading.
My favorite kind. Perfect. Okay. Okay. I love doing love readings. It's so much fun. Okay. Again, look at me. Look at my shuffling over here. That is such a mess. I'm gonna do this. Okay,
You got this.
we're gonna do that. Okay. We're still learning, you know. Like we're still out here. When I did like readings on TikTok, on my live, people were like, oh, "That is so accurate," and I was like, "God, I hope so." Like that is gonna be so awkward if it's not. So.
But again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes parts of readings don't even make sense till after the fact. Like I've done readings for myself where it incorporated like a queen, and I wasn't sure, or like a king, and those always represent people in your life, and I couldn't really pinpoint who it was referencing, and it wasn't until much later where I looked back at it, it was like, oh, like I hadn't really thought of that person, or maybe I hadn't even met that person yet, but then when I look back on the fact, it's like, oh, that card totally represented this person, and they, fulfilled this situation.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. So there's there's the Ten of Pentacles in the past, Queen of Swords in the present, and King of Cups in the future. The Ten of Pentacles is so in the past I have to look this up because I'm not used to Pentacles. So let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly.
So from my memory and understanding of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles is like the fulfillment of home. So Pentacles usually represents like finances, but also like homes and wills and like investments. So the Ten of Pentacles is like home life. It's like fulfillment of family, fulfillment of like a stable home life, like very harmonious, and like the ideal of like, I always think of like that white picket fence life, if that's what your ideal is, but maybe that's not yours, but it's like that coming to fulfillment of like financial, emotional, family, like stability.
Yeah, and that's literally it. Like, it's happiness is more than money, success is more than wealth, abundance comes in many forms, and be sure you live each moment to the fullest, especially those shared with others. So like maybe in your past, there was like a lot of fulfillment, whether that be in relationships, well, this is a love reading, so like there was a lot going on in a past relationship. You felt whole, you felt like
very fulfilled and just like harmonious with that person. And maybe that's not even like a relationship thing. It could also be like family, because like family can fall under love technically.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, oh, like maybe you have like a great family life and like you want to find love with like people that you've grown up with or grown up around. It can go either way. The Queen of Swords is, okay, Queen is, look at her. I think the swords are like more logical, right?
Yes.
So like, the Queen of Swords, I think of like, obviously queen, like, you know your worth, like, oh, this is the present placement, by the way.
Yeah.
So like, you know like what you're about, you know what you want, you're very logical with your thinking, and like, you're gonna go out and get what you want and like what you need.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
So yeah,
look it up?
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
sick.
So the swords, again, as I mentioned before, the swords are all about like cutting through bullshit. So the
Yeah.
Queen of Swords usually represents. It can be a woman, or it can be like the feminine side of a person. You don't have to be like female, gender specific. But the feminine side of you that is like no bullshit. Like you could be blunt. You could be, but it's all about like speaking truth. So maybe it's a little like too sharp for some people. It's kind of like, you know, sharp-tongued, or like you get to the point, but it's only because it's like cutting to the truth, and some people just can't handle that. So the Queen of Swords is very much like no bullshit, knows what she wants, knows her worth, as you mentioned, like knows that she deserves it all, and is not willing to put up with anybody's shit to get it, which is like, that's your present, goddamn. Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Like, dang. So yeah, that could be you. That could be like someone who's like a feminine like energy, like that isn't you. But I would take it as, you know, like someone's like, oh yeah, like you know what you want. I'm like, yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's my present card. That's me. But again, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And then the King of Cups, I already know this card because, like, again, cups, my favorite suit. The King of Cups is like, okay, so on an island.
So this is in the future.
This is the future.
Yeah.
Future placement. The King of Cups is like on an island, and like he's very like secluded from like the rest of the world. But he's like very like, he rules with like his emotions. But he's also like, he's a tough nut to crack. And so this potentially could be like, if someone's coming into your life, this could be a water sign, again, because of like the cups. And then like the swords could be an air sign, but like it just depends on the person, like who's getting the reading. But yeah, with the cups, it's like, you know, there's this guy, like a masculine energy coming in, and like he knows what he wants, but it's like he's really hard to like open up, and like, but once you get through to him, like he will let you in, and like the world is yours. Like that is literally him. And so it's just like he's very like secluded, but like once you get through to him, you know, you get through to him, and like everything comes together. Is this correct?
Yeah. So in my interpretation of the King of Cups, it's a man that rules by his emotions more than his logic, and that can come with positives and negatives. So just because like that card is in your future, that doesn't necessarily mean that like that is like fated. It could mean that like that's someone to watch out for as well. Like maybe, you know, because if you see yourself as the Queen of Swords, you know, the King of Cups could be like what's standing in your way. He's someone that's ruled by emotion, whereas you're ruled more by logic, and you know what you want. And this is someone that is going to be very emotional. It could be a good thing. King of Cups people tend to be like caregivers. Like they could be like nurses, or you know, they could veterinarians or doctors. Someone that like really wants to give to the world, but they can also be kind of unruly. They can be, you know, like in the tempest of their emotion, they can be immature, or they can be, you know, kind of illogical and moody and sulky. And so again, it's take what resonates with you, whether that means that this King of Cups is someone that is going to be in your future because you want them in your future, or because it's someone that, you know, as a Queen of Swords, you need to cut your way through to move on to something better. That's, just keep that in
Yes!
mind, that like, you know what you want and you know what you need. And whether, this person, again, doesn't have to be a man, could just be the masculine side of someone's personality. Whether that is going to complement you because their emotion and your logic balance each other, or whether their emotion is going to get in your way, you know what you need to do.
You put it so great.
Thank you.
That was great. That was amazing. But yeah, that's your reading. Hopefully it resonates. And if it doesn't, I'm so sorry. My energy's off my tarot deck. Suddenly I have to go.
I'm sorry.
Oops, sorry, I gotta log off.
Gotta
I'm like,
shampoo my hair.
yeah, oh gosh. What's the time?
Thank you so much for being our first reading.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that, I don't know, that seemed like really good.
Yeah, that was a good reading. Ooh.
That all lined up perfectly.
Yeah, I know. Wow. I would love that reading. I'm like, ooh.
There's an air sign, me, a water sign, potentially someone coming into my future. I'm like,
Suddenly this is about Gianna's reading. I'm like, I'm turning this into me. No, but anyway. So.
Kate Cat just joined the chat.
That's my roommate. Hi.
So hi. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Nice to see you.
yeah. Caitlin, do you want a reading? Because I'm doing readings, and I know I do readings for you all the time, but
And once again, Mary Botticelli, thank you so much for being our first reading.
Thank you, Mary Botticelli. Much appreciated. Wow, incredible.
Yeah. So if anyone else would like a 3-card reading, the categories are general, love, finance, and career. Feel free to just text in the chat which one you would like, and we'll just go in order of first come, first serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Should I leave these here, or do I want?
Oh yeah, you could just leave them here for now.
I'll leave them here. Yeah.
Kate Cat says her break is over in 4 minutes, so make it a speedy one. So maybe just like a 1-card reading?
yeah, we'll do a 1-card reading. What kind of reading, Caitlin, do we want? Like love, career, finance, general? What's the vibe? OMG. She's so funny. Oh my gosh. Thank you for joining on
Yeah, thanks so much for watching.
on your break. Lovely. I'm getting Caitlin vibes.
Career.
Career, sis, period. Okay. Okay. We'll do a 1-card. Okay.
Oh, hey, Magic Carp, thanks for joining the chat.
Hi, Magic Carp!
Oh my goodness!
The Queen of Wands, Caitlin!
Oh my gosh. That's one of my favorite cards.
Okay.
Truly. Because, she knows her worth, but, she's nurturing, but also, badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, Caitlin, you know what you deserve in a career, and you're just a badass who wants to accomplish the world, but also you're very nurturing and yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm
I always think of this card kind of like the PTA mom, like the one that is both like a mom and is balancing home life, but also has a clipboard in her hand and is running around taking care of everything. It's very high energy because it's a fire sign, so it's always about high energy, very energetic, but you are zipping around, you're working hard, you're on top of things, you're the one organizing everything, and you're the one that people can rely on to both be that nurturing kind of motherly figure. Doesn't have to be literally a mother, but just that maternal, how to be approachable,
Yeah.
while also zipping around and getting shit done. So great card.
Caitlin, look at you, sis. You're gonna be the one that everyone wants to hire.
She agrees. Very PTA mom vibe.
It's true. Living with her, it's very much the same vibe. So very accurate.
Yeah.
Good job, tarot.
And again, that's just my interpretation of the card. That's how I remember it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just there's so much going on with that card. You've got the nurturing, but you also got the down to brass tacks.
Right.
We're gonna get through this to-do list today.
Yeah.
And I love that.
yeah, it's very accurate, Caitlin. I love that. Okay, so
So that in a career reading, I guess it just means that side, those traits are gonna really help you in your career.
Yeah.
Just keeping on task, being both approachable and nurturing, as well as being hardworking and time management. All that stuff is gonna take you really far in a job because you're both hardworking and likable.
I love that. Caitlin, amazing for you, sis.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find the other cups.
4 of Cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
4 of Cups.
thank you for those 2 that asked for a reading.
Thank you.
We're gonna keep going in our little series of like explaining the cup cards. But if you would like a reading, feel free to message in the chat, and we'll just go down in order. First come, first serve.
Amazing. Okay, Page of Cups, the Lovers, the 2 of Swords. Da, da, da.
All right.
Already did that.
Kit Kat's going back to work. Thank you for joining us
Thank
on
you.
your break. So
Love
glad you could tune in.
See you later. I'm coming home today. She's been all alone. She's like, hey, when are you coming home? I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, come home, I'm lonely. So, I'm coming home today, sis. Don't worry. Okay, so, no. Yes. No.
We're still looking for the 4.
I'm looking for the...
Just all of the cups.
Yeah, but I don't think here's the 4 of Cups. Okay. I think that was the last one. I'm almost positive. Yeah, that was
Kit
it.
Kat is very excited that you're finally coming home.
Thank God. I'm so glad I'm going to have such a great
Better
welcome
than the
home.
alternative of like, oh, you're coming home.
Yeah, exactly. Thank goodness. Okay, the 4 of Cups.
Oh no, what's going on with this man? He's got 4 cups, but he's stressed. What is happening?
He looks very unhappy to have
He's
these
like,
4 cups.
what the hell? There's like 3 cups, and this person in the door is like, you don't want another? Let's look at what this means, because this is kind of intriguing. Okay. Oh, okay. Basically, this is like, is this the best that I can get?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, really? There's 3 cups? Like, can I get more? The quote at the top is, I'm sure something better will come along if I wait long enough.
Mm-hmm.
The young sage in the 4 of Cups isn't happy with his work. Of course, it's not unusual. Truth be told, he's never really satisfied. Oh, wow, this is so depressing for a Cups card. He'll keep rejecting things. Surely just the right one will come along sooner. Surely just the right one will come along sooner or later. If not, our sage would rather have nothing at all. Dang. Okay, this is things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling bored or dissatisfied with your life, your job, and your relationships, but you can't quite figure out why and what it is you what you do want? Maybe it's not them, it's you. And it's a reminder to make sure that you aren't turning away good options just because you think that something perfect will eventually appear as if by magic.
Yeah.
Wow, are your expectations realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I always think of the 4 of Cups as like the boredom card or like the indifference card. So it's a cups. So it's usually like with romance, but it can be for a career or any other option in your life. It's talking about like, and again, it's from 1 to 10. You know, you're going through the beginning of a relationship and then through these like wells and swells and waves. So when you get to the 4, it's like, okay, so that first, blush, that first excitement of the 1 and the 2, that like adrenaline rush of new relationship, new job, whatever, it's starting to wane. And now you're realizing like, the newlywed kind of like feeling is gone. And now you're starting to get bored. And this card is really like representing like, just because it's not new and exciting anymore doesn't mean it's not worth it. Sometimes you just have to stick with something even if it is like boring or even if it's like not as exciting as you originally imagined it would be, because you're gonna drop a lot of stuff if you just keep jumping from high to high to high.
Right.
You're never gonna put down roots. You're never gonna like really create something stable. So this card, though it's like comes off as really negative, is more of like a warning than necessarily like this is what's going on. It's kind of just like, make sure to keep in mind that life gets boring sometimes. Life is not a movie where it's only 2 hours and they cut away all the boring stuff so that you just have excitement after excitement. Like, you're gonna have lulls, you're gonna have moments of like feeling kind of indifferent or bored, and that doesn't necessarily mean that whatever you're doing, whether it be a career or a romance, is not worth it. And as your book said, maybe it's not them, or maybe it's not it's something within yourself that you kind of have to reflect on. Now that doesn't mean that feeling is invalid. Sometimes boredom and indifference is like a sign that maybe something isn't right for you. maybe it is time to move on to something new. But don't just immediately, the first moment that you feel bored, drop whatever you're doing and work on the next thing. Like,
Yeah.
make sure that you're really internalizing and reflecting on, is this a me thing? Am I just, unsatisfied? Do I need to just work through something? Or is it legitimately not a good fit? And just,
Honestly,
be
well
cautious.
said. Yeah, well said. I like what you said about like in the movie where they just cut away to like the good parts.
Yeah.
Because it's true, like no one wants to watch like couples sitting around on the couch like not talking and like being
Right.
silent and like reading together.
You don't see the moments where the hero, the hero is stuck in traffic.
Right,
You know?
right,
It's boring.
exactly. It's boring and like you just want to get the exciting stuff in
Mm-hmm.
within the 2 hours. And it's like relationships, I believe, there's always that honeymoon phase, but then like you start to get more comfortable with each other, and then they like you kind of can be like, oh, like is there no like spark anymore, or like I want that honeymoon kind of
Yeah.
phase 24/7.
Right, right.
Because like that's the fun part of being in a relationship is like those first like few months where it's
Mm-hmm.
like the honeymoon phase, and then like once that's over, it's like, oh man, that's it. Like
Well, which is why it's so important that, like, if you do get into a long-term relationship, that it's someone that, like, you could see as your best friend.
Yeah.
Because once all of that passion and all of that, like, honeymoon, like, newlywed gushy feeling is over, you still have to be with that person. You still
Right.
have to enjoy being around them, even if it's not, like, sparks all the time.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a reason why, like, people cheat sometimes, is because they get to that point in their relationship where the newlywed glow has faded, and now they're, like, looking for that next surge of adrenaline, and they end up finding it in someone else. And it's really unfortunate that, people do that, but this card is a warning to that,
Yeah.
like, don't necessarily ride that wave of emotion, like, keep logic involved, realize that life is boring at times, life is dull at times, but don't throw away something really good because you're feeling kind of, like, bored in the moment.
yeah. Well said. Honestly, love that. I don't like the card, but
Unfortunately,
that.
I relate to that card a lot because I also get bored very quickly, especially with jobs. Like, I really enjoy working in the television industry because it's project by project. So
Yeah.
you do a movie or a season of a show that ends, and you jump to the next thing. But anytime that I've worked a job that's kind of like the same thing day in and day out, I always around the 7 month to year mark, I just immediately are like, time for a new job.
yeah, yeah. But I think that's I think any entertainment job is like that too. Because if you're doing the same thing constantly, I mean, you see people on Broadway, and it's very rare that they're in a show longer than a year.
Yeah, because
It's
just
like the same-
repetitive,
yeah.
and you lose that spark and that passion, and
Yeah.
it just really depends on your career field, whether you're doing it to have fun or whether you're doing it for money.
Yeah, no,
And then,
exactly.
you have to find a way to power through that indifference and that boredom and find that fun, because or else you're just going to keep jumping from job to job, and while that's okay in certain fields, in others that unfortunately looks really bad on a resume.
Yeah.
Not that in our today's economy the whole 20 years at a job thing isn't really relevant anymore. That's kind of a bygone era, but
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on to the.
Magikarp agrees.
Thanks,
That's a
Magikarp.
mood. Do you want a reading?
Yeah, Magikarp, do you want a
Is
reading?
on Magikarp? We have general love, career, and finance, and we're doing 3-card readings, so past, present, future.
Heck yeah, we are. Okay, let's see. So that was the 4.
Yeah, that was 4.
Here's the 5. Magikarp, if you want a reading, let us know. If not, totally chill. We just love having you.
Yeah. All right, so she's on a beach, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were reading the chat. I was
No,
like,
sorry, I'm looking at your card.
oh, yeah. So this is the card that I pulled for Cal when he was like, oh, look, I want to know what this mark is about. And I was like, you're crying over 3 glasses of wine or mead. And you have a whole party over here that you're not even focusing on. There's so much good stuff happening here, but you're focused on the small stuff that's here. And it's why? For what reason? Because literally, do you care about the 3 glasses, or do you care about
like the bottle and like the party and like the cake and the balloons and like even more glasses. Like, why are you focused on something that's so like that's already happened when you're missing all the good stuff that's happening in the moment? Like,
Right.
you're not focused. You're not in the moment. You know.
Exactly.
And that's so sad. It's like, be a little happier and like, you know, you could be potentially missing something. Like if you come into, like if this isn't like, if this comes into a love reading, let's say, maybe like someone's focused on like their ex and like their past relationships, when something like they're gonna, if they keep doing that, they're going to miss the person that comes into their life.
Right.
Who would be like the person, and they're still like dwindling on the past that they don't even see what's in front of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like love this card. I don't like it for me, but like it's a good wake up call.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and I think the caveat is like, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take time to grieve. You know, whether that be a past relationship or the loss of a loved one or the loss of a job, whatever it may be. The loss is there. The cups have spilled, and you're allowed to take a moment and grieve that. But again, don't focus on it so much that you miss what's behind you in the card, literally, or like what's coming up next, that next job, that next relationship, or something that's already been there. You know, maybe like there's a person that's been by your side the whole time, and maybe you're neglecting them because you're so focused on this other thing that's upsetting you, and maybe you need to realize, it's like count your blessings, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're allowed to, your feelings are valid, you're allowed to be upset, but just always focus on what's next, be happy for what you already have,
Yeah.
and don't squander that.
Yeah. Because these moments are fleeting, and life is fleeting in the end. So that's on period.
It's a great card. It's it's eye-opening, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think like if you get that in a reading, it's like, this is your wake up call. You know, like don't miss out on like what's happening right now.
Yeah,
Because,
look
like,
around.
Yeah, look around. Open your eyes and like don't have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
You know. So I do like that one. Do we want to go on to the next one?
Yeah, Magikarp might get a reading a little bit later. They're about to do a delivery.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for tuning in, Magikarp. So appreciated.
We love you so much.
We love you. Okay, the Six of Cups. So, I don't think I've seen this one before. Wow, wait,
she's
it's kind of
so
cute.
cute.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like the flowers, the little pond. Okay. So, I don't know what this card means, but like, I don't know, maybe something about giving, or like, you know, you're passing something over to like someone else, and like something that's good or something. I don't know. Just looking at the picture, that's what I'm seeing. Okay. Sometimes the smallest gesture made with no expectation of return can touch the heart in profound ways.
Oh.
So basically, okay, you have probably heard the phrase random acts of kindness. These are those small, unexpected gestures that put a smile on someone's face, like allowing an elderly person to take your seat on the bus or feeding a parking meter so some stranger doesn't get a ticket. Have you been practicing kindness? If not, you might want to try it. Say something nice to everyone you meet for a day and give an unexpected gift to show someone you love them. If someone has been kind to you recently, be sure to pass it along. I love this card.
I also love the kind of like shade of that question. Like, have you been practicing kindness lately? You
Yeah.
might want to try it.
Yeah, right? I'm like, ooh, okay, whoa, okay.
A message for most of the world today.
Yeah.
You might want to try a little bit more kindness.
This, oh my gosh. So like, me being a total One Direction fan and like Harry Styles fan, his like motto is like treat people with kindness, and this just gives me Harry vibes because he's always like treat people with kindness, like be nice to everyone, and like he'll have fans like stand out in front of the show for like 3 days so they can get like front row, and he'll go not him personally, but like he'll buy like donuts and pizza for like the fans, and he'll have his team like deliver it and like make sure that everyone eats, and it's like, what kind of celebrity does that?
That's
you know?
really nice, yeah.
I'm just like, this man is so pure and just so sweet, and oh my god. But this is giving me like treat people with kindness vibes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's really interesting too, because my book kind of has a completely different interpretation of that one.
Really?
Which I find interesting because you see that there's the little witch. And in my deck, it has 2 children in like a field of flowers with the cups. And my interpretation of it has always been nostalgia. My book talks about how something from your past might be coming back, like specifically with a romance, like it could be like someone that you had a fling with years ago might be coming back into your life, or even not romantic, maybe someone that you previously had like a work relationship or a family relationship with is coming back. But it also means like remembering past times, maybe like looking back finally on your childhood, something about the past informing the future. It also kind of like refers to like, I think kind of tying with the kindness, like childlike wonder and happiness, like remembering our past innocence and trying to like carry that with us forward so that we don't lose that like little kernel of joy and wonder and innocence in us. But yeah, so maybe like revival of an old love, situations from the past resurfacing, something, it could be positive or negative. It could be like something from your past that negatively affected you might be like coming back and affecting you today. So just keep that in mind. Blast from the past, nostalgia is what I get from this card.
Okay.
But that's really cool that it's also like pay it forward too.
Yeah.
Like also be kind and like don't let your past affect your present or your future, and like just stay generous.
I really like this card. Wow. And there are 6 cups. They're just in pots. Incredible. I'm like, the 6 of Cups might be one of my new favorites. And I wouldn't know because I usually like will just read it in the moment and I'm like, oh yeah, like do this. And then I'll like let it go by, but now we're like learning.
Yeah.
Which is so much fun.
It's really nice to like kind of sit and focus on each card and really like talk about all the different interpretations, because it could mean, you know, kindness in one reading and it could mean nostalgia and a blast from the past in the next, and like really exploring all of the different meanings so that whenever it comes up you kind of like can get a different sense or vibe of what it's going for.
A different perspective.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun for me.
It also is just helping to like remember, like talking it through and talking about it, like
yeah.
I'm definitely starting to remember the cards a lot easier than when I used to.
Yeah. I'm very much like, if I talk about it, like I'll remember it much easier. And so like, when I just read it, like it just kind of like goes in through one ear and out the other.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't like retain the information, but when I talk about it, then I remember the cards with Cal because I talked about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna know the whole tarot deck by the time we're done with it.
Yeah. That's almost like that's the point of this show.
Oh my gosh.
We're learning. Yeah, no, just like reading. I've read through this book a bunch of times, but when I just read through it cover to cover, like I'm like, okay, yeah, that all makes sense. And then I actually like pull out my deck and I like look at a card and I'm like, what crap? What does this one mean again?
Yeah.
So it's really nice to like pinpoint and like let's talk through it all. Let's really focus on cards.
Yeah.
Let's like really create those associations so that eventually we won't have to refer to this.
Yeah.
And we'll just know what they mean.
Exactly. And that's why we're here.
That will be the day. Yeah.
Okay, so the 7 of Cups, because we're getting close, like not close, but like I want
We're getting to the second half of the cups.
Yeah. So the 7 of Cups, it looks like the witch has a lot of like different opportunities like in front of her.
Oh yeah, she's like at a shop.
Yeah, and
So
she's
much
like,
to choose from.
yeah, which to choose. You know, do you want knowledge? Do you want like magic? Do you want like money, love? Like there's like a bunch of different stuff. And maybe she's just like really, I don't know, I haven't read the thing yet, but maybe it's like, oh, I don't know what to choose. I'm kind of like confused on like which path to take. But it could also mean like maybe she's worked so hard for something and like she just like doesn't know what's gonna like what opportunities are gonna be coming her way.
Considering that you haven't read it, you were pretty spot on.
Really?
Yeah, so this card, at least in my interpretation, is about too many choices. It's about like that there's so much potential and possibility in front of you, but that can be confusing, and it can cause you to like try to split yourself too many ways at once.
Yeah.
So this card is usually about like there's a lot of choices in front of you, but you need to pick like one or two. And it also can kind of refer to temptation. Like if it was like negatively aspected, it can mean like, oh, like there's so many other things that are out there like tempting you off of your path. So it's really, as you said, like there's so many choices, it's confusing. It's just about like, cool, you got a lot of possibilities, but like now is the time to choose one
Yeah.
and stick to it.
Yeah.
Because if you try to split yourself too many ways, you won't have, jack of all trades, master of none, or whatever that saying
Yeah.
is, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Dang, I can't believe I got that one spot on. What?
yeah, look at that. Your intuition is working for
Wow. I'm like, oh my gosh, my intuition, amazing. But yeah, okay. I mean, obviously it's like a pretty detailed card, so like I can understand it. But if it was like a minimalistic card, I might be like, what does this mean? But yeah, this girl's got to make a move. Otherwise, it's just not like,
you. Yeah.
make a decision. You're not getting any younger, sis.
I really like the shop analogy, because it's like you only have so much money. You can't buy it all. But if you try to
Right.
split your money, you can't buy any of them. You know, you got to pick.
Correct.
What are you going to pay for?
Yeah.
Your time and your energy is your currency, and you have to put it somewhere.
That's literally Nova. Her going into a shop being like, I want everything here. I don't have the gold for it. Fuck.
That petrified frog, though.
Worth every
Had enough
penny,
gold for
apparently.
that.
Worth every silver. Okay, the 8 of Cups. Here we go. Do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? We have 6 left, not including this card. So the 8 of Cups. It looks like she's leaving something behind. Like she's ready to start a new journey. And like, where is she going, sis? Where are you going?
Out into the wilds, clearly.
I'm like on an adventure, apparently. Okay. Sometimes you just have to walk in another direction. Just because you have everything you want doesn't mean you have everything that you need. Oh, okay. It makes sense. If you're looking at this card, you may be at a turning point in your life. Are you feeling as though there's something missing, even though your circumstances seem fine on the surface? Are there issues that make an otherwise good situation not as perfect as you thought it would be? And it just indicates like a dramatic change in a relationship or career that used to bring you satisfaction and no longer does. And it's just like time to acknowledge that it's time to walk away, and like that's okay. You know, your future has potential happiness, and like, isn't it better to try to find that than like be miserable? Like this once made you happy, but like if you're no longer satisfied, like the 4 of Cups, you know, like maybe,
I was about to say the same thing. This is kind of the opposite of the 4 of Cups.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, you're unsatisfied, but the 4. Okay, here's the thing: 4 of Cups. He's waiting there. He's waiting for something to come up. This girl, she's coming up, and she's like, I'm gonna find it. Like,
She's taking action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
It is. It's very different. Yeah. I think this card is the antithesis of the 4 of Cups in a lot of ways, because as you just said, like he's waiting for the thing, but he has 4 cups in front of him, and he's just not satisfied with them. This card is very much like the opposite, because she has so much in front of her. She has 8 cups in front of her, and it's scary. It's frightening to turn away from that. It's like if you have put a lot of years into a job, but you're not getting a promotion, you're not getting a raise. It's scary to like walk away from that. It's scary to walk away from any kind of relationship where you've invested a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
And this card kind of is saying like that might be okay. Like sometimes you just have to turn away from things. Just because you put a lot of time and energy and money in them doesn't mean that it's right for you. And it is active. It's very much like she's turning away from them, but it's not sad, you know, like she's moving on to something new. There's like all this other potential. There's all the rest of the world out there. Like she's walking towards something probably better.
Yeah.
And it really gives you permission to like
take that leap.
Yeah, there's like a phrase I was trying to think of that just flew my mind, but like to like, you know, let it go, basically. You know, like it's okay to let go sometimes, even if it seems like you're abandoning or if you're like dropping a lot.
Yeah. This card, I feel like it would be like, this is your sign to like get up and walk away.
Yeah, if you weren't sure, but you've been like kind of thinking about it, this is the sign.
Yeah.
That's like, it's okay to let go.
Yeah. Do you believe in signs from the universe?
I do.
Let's talk about that because
Okay.
I happen to agree.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book and it's called Signs, and it's like this psychic medium who like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy because it's like a compilation of like different people's like testimonies and like stories, and it's like, oh, I get this from a loved one that's passed on. Like I asked them to send me this sign, and they have like many times. Like very specific things, like, oh, I want like send me a Queen of Hearts card, and it's like, where do you find a Queen of Hearts card? But they'll find it on the sidewalk, just like abandoned.
Oh dang.
And it's like, what? Or it'll be like they're in a like a what's it called, like an antique store, and like they'll walk up to something, and like it'll have like the Queen of Hearts card like posted on the wall behind it, and it's like, oh my god.
Oh wow.
So it's like so crazy. Like my sign is like pennies. Like I've had so many signs from, or I've gotten like I found so many pennies, and I'm like, my grandma's here with me. Like
Oh.
it's like my mom and I have that kind of connection where when we find a penny, it's like a sign of good luck and like a sign that like our family who's passed on is with us. And I'm like, not to get like religious or anything, but it's like, it's I think no matter what you believe, like if you believe there's a spirit world or not, and like nothing happens after death, or like there is an afterlife, I think it's reassuring to know that like, you know, it's comforting to get these signs even if it's just a coincidence.
Right.
But
right.
in my belief, I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I am also religious.
Okay.
And so, but I don't necessarily think that matters. I don't like the idea that like we are like free floating in space, and every decision that we make is like completely up to like our free will. And you know, if you screw something up, you screwed it up forever, and it like you could have had this amazing life, but because you fucked it up, like you won't. I know some people have that mentality, like, and it's good in that it creates responsibility. Like people have to be responsible for their actions, and they can't just say like, well, I guess it was meant to be, and like not take action.
Right.
But I personally like to believe, whether you are like religious or just kind of generally spiritual, that like there has to be something that is kind of leading us and guiding us, and like there's too many things that are coincidental for this not to be some kind of master plan.
Yeah.
And I also just don't want the responsibility of my own life in my hands, and I like to think that like I'm meant for something, and certain choices, like even when I really, really want something, if it ends up not working out, when I look back on it, it usually didn't work out for a reason, you know, like I didn't get this job or this internship because something else happened that summer instead that was so much better, you know, and I needed to get a no there so I could get a yes here. And so, you know, I personally don't have any people that I've been very close to that have died, so I don't specifically look for signs from like a specific spirit or individual, but just generally, like I think that there's, you know, there's someone out there that listens to me when I pray. So, you know, the way that I like to use tarot, which I love tarot, and I think a lot of people kind of have a misconception about tarot because they kind of, it gets shoved in with like Satanism and paganism a lot, which it is not. I think of it like a tool, like anything else, you know, like we use a cell phone to talk to people. That does not make the cell phone inherently evil or anything else. So like, no, like you can believe in whatever you want and still do tarot, because it's not like, the tarot itself isn't like the energy or like the God is not the cards. It's like whatever you believe channeling through the cards. So like whether you're Christian or Buddhist or agnostic or whatever, it's just like whatever you think you're talking to, the cards are just a communication method. So I can be like asking my God and you can be asking your God, and I don't see a problem with that, because I don't think of the cards is like the magic, or like,
Yeah.
you know, it's what's channeling through them that's what's important.
Yeah.
And so I do think that there is a, you know, a greater power out there that's watching over us, and I do look for signs, and I like it when I can like kind of look back on things and be like, oh, okay, I was asking for something that I really wanted because I didn't know that wouldn't have been good for me, you
Yeah.
know, like I was meant for something different, and it worked out so much better
Yeah.
the way that it did happen.
Life is so crazy. I agree in so many ways. Like, if, I don't know, like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if quarantine never happened, like, would this show have ever happened? And then, like,
Probably not.
yeah, and then, like, would I be sitting here doing this with you, and, like, would I have met all of these amazing people that have been a part of this show? Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, so, yeah, the quarantine sucks. Like, it's the worst, and, like, COVID's awful, and, like, I just genuinely am so, like, it's so, like, hard, and, like, a lot of people have died, and it's, like, it's not fair. But I also am very positive, and I like to look for the good in everything. And yeah, the quarantine is awful, and so is Corona and all of that stuff. But like, I met all of you guys, and like, you know, that's something positive that came out of 2020 is like, you know, you guys started playing D&D. You had this idea for a show. I happened to see the audition because my roommate texted it to me. I signed up, and then I literally was like, should I even go? Am I gonna even get it? And here we are. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I can't even, like, it was just so perfect, and like everything lined up, you know? And it's just like, I don't know, it's just so crazy, and like life works in such mysterious ways, and like, I don't know. We're getting off topic, but
no, this is about. We're just chatting.
Just chatting. But yeah, it's crazy to think about, you know? And like, I truly don't believe anything happens like coincidentally.
Yeah.
Like, I think everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and like for a reason.
Yeah, there's like certain decisions that I made in my life that I can like literally track back to like one moment, and it's so crazy. Like, the university that I went to for college, I didn't originally want to go to because it was the same one that like my sister went to, and my mom went to, and my gym teacher went to, and it was like, you know, 30 minutes away from my hometown, and I really wanted to like go out and go somewhere else for college, and I had asked my humanities like teacher at the time, like, okay, I want to study film, what colleges should I look at? And he listed two, and you know, one was the one that I ended up going to, the one that my sister went to, and everybody else, and then one was had a film program, but it was more experimental. It was more about like the artistry of film, and I was like, no, I want like the industry standard. Like, I want to go to LA and I want to make film. And he's like, well, then this is the school for you. And inside I was like, dang it, I don't want to go to that one, you know?
Yeah.
But I can literally tie back, like me living in California today, I can literally tie back to going to that school. I got an internship. Well, I took a class where we went to LA for like a couple of weeks, and I talked to a woman that did an internship, and she gave us like tips for how to apply to that internship, and I had applied to it the year before and not gotten it. But then because I went and talked to her in person and she gave me tips, the next year I applied for it, I got it, came out here, worked for a company that then once I graduated got me like my first real job, you know, and I can tie all of that back to like, if I hadn't gone to this school, I wouldn't have gone on that class trip for 2 weeks, I wouldn't have talked to this woman, I wouldn't have gotten that internship, I wouldn't have made these business connections, I wouldn't have gotten the job that I still work at, like on and off, like all because I went to a university that I didn't want to go to. And like, you can, you know, everyone says like there's multiple ways, there's multiple paths to get where we are today, and your journey isn't going to be the same as anybody else's. And you can make the comment that like, well, oh, if you had gone to a different university, you would have like gotten different connections and you would have still ended up out here. And like, sure, but do I know that? No. I don't know for sure that I would have still ended up out here with the connections that I have, but I can tie back the connections I do have to that specific school.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Life is just such a crazy mess, and it's a beautiful mess.
It's
it really is.
It's a splatter painting, that's for sure.
Yeah,
like.
exactly. Okay, so 9 of Cups. Here we go. She looks content with her life. Is this the same witch that walked away? No, different girl. I was like, oh my gosh, she left, and here she's found like happiness.
She found the beach.
She found a beach, and she's happy with her life. Look at the little cat playing with the crab. Oh my gosh, it's like my cat. My cat is so mischievous. Okay. Oh, okay. This is like a success card. So it's all about like the Nine of Cups used to be called the wish card. You'd make a wish at the beginning of the reading, and if the Nine of Cups appeared, your wish was sure to be granted.
Mine says the same thing.
Really?
This is it's sometimes referred to as the wish card.
Oh my gosh!
It is well known. The Nine of Cups is a wish card.
Yeah.
We are in agreement.
It's a good sign that you've achieved what you hoped to and are well on your way to doing so. But don't get cocky. After all, life is uncertain and wishes are tricky things. But like definitely celebrate your achievements. The journey still continues. And let's see. If you've achieved a goal that you've been working hard on for a while, like really like embrace that success and like don't let it go to your head.
Yeah.
It's like life is so unexpected. Like when I like got my job at Disney, like I was over the moon. Like I auditioned 10 times, and it's like I finally got something, and like I wanted that dream like so bad, and I got it. And it's like all of a sudden in a blink of an eye the quarantine happens, and it's like it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's like enjoy it, you know, but enjoy like celebrate your successes when you have it, you know?
You never know, you know.
Yeah.
Something that I think everyone thought was so stable, because like entertainment jobs in general are very flighty, and you know,
Yeah.
it's the way of being a performer or an actor that, you know, you can't really guarantee your next job, but like Disney is something that's like, well, nothing's gonna happen to Disney, and then something happened to it, and it really makes you like realize like everything is temporary, everything is flighty, and just like really take in each day and like just be happy where you are, and
what does your book say? Like what's the specifics?
pretty much the same thing. Like it's the wish card. It signifies the achievement of an important desire that brings you fulfillment. It can represent emotional and material fulfillment, abundance, and even sensual pleasures. It indicates that you feel well pleased.
Wow.
So yeah, like you're at that point where you're like, heck yeah, like this is it. I've found my space. I'm doing it. You know, like we're in it. This is it.
Yeah.
It's that really like live in the moment kind of vibe. Yeah.
Definitely.
But I also like that it's like if you think of a wish at the beginning of the reading and this shows up, it's like, okay, like we hear you.
Yeah.
We know what that wish is, and it's gonna happen. Like it's something. It might not happen in the way that you wish or want it to, but something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you'll be fulfilled with whatever that outcome is.
Yeah. Honestly, I've realized like when I want something, I just like ask the universe for it, or like ask God for it, and then like I'll typically like focus on it, and I'm like, oh my God, like how's it gonna work out? Like how am I gonna get here? How is this going to happen? Like how, what, why, when, whatever. But it's like when you just let it go, and you just are like, I want it, and I still want it, but like however it comes about, like I'll take it. That is when it happens for you, you know? Like, in my personal experience.
It always happens when you're not looking for it, yeah.
Period. Yes. It always happens when you least expect it. In anything. And it's like, when you're focusing so hard on it, and it's like, oh, yeah, like, it just isn't
Watch
there.
pot never boils kind of thing. Like, you need to focus on just living and being you, and like living you to the fullest, and like whatever is meant to happen, like as long as you are being you to your most extent, like what is meant to be will be. Like if you're desperate for a relationship and you're like trying to do things to like make that relationship come about, you could accidentally like not act like yourself because you're like trying so hard to be what someone might find desirable. And then even if you do get a relationship, now they're dating a version of you that's not your most you-ness, you know? So you like, I just think of it like everyone has like an internal light, you know, and you just have to shine. And like if you shine brightly, things will be attracted to you. Like things will come to you. That doesn't mean like the Four of Cups, like don't just like wait for things to drop in your lap, but like actively do things that you enjoy and that make you feel fulfilled, and whatever is meant to be will find you because you're out there being bright and doing you so boldly that people will notice.
I was just gonna say, like, don't be like a 4 of Cups. Like,
Yeah.
exactly it. Like,
Yeah.
don't let these opportunities come and just be like, "Ugh, I can find something better. Like, when it comes, just like, you know,
Take
like,
things as they come.
yeah. And if it comes to you, then like take it. And if it's not for you, throw it away or like put it aside and be like, that's not what I want. But like, I'll wait for the next opportunity that arises, you know? But like you said, I was very much the same way. Like when I was younger and dating, I was like, oh my gosh, like this person wants me to be like this. And so I'm gonna act this way because like, I don't really know myself and like, I just want to like please this person.
Yeah.
And it's like, they end up like breaking up with me because they're like, you're just like not who I thought you were. And now I'm like, honestly, if they don't like me for me, like they're clearly not the right person.
It's never going to work in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you can't, no, there's a difference between like learning who you are and like growing together because every person that we meet teaches something about ourselves or like shows us a new perspective that maybe we hadn't considered before. So there's definitely ways to organically like grow and change with someone, but that should happen naturally. You shouldn't be like trying to change yourself in such a way where it takes like enormous amounts of effort.
Yeah.
And it's unnatural, you know, like there's the difference between like, you know, trying to improve yourself because you know that this is a fault of yours and someone's pointed it out and you're like, okay, I'll try to make myself better with this specific fault, but you shouldn't like pretend to be interested in things that you're not, or like, you know, change your look because you think someone will like that more. Like, don't do that.
And that is on what period? Thank you. That is
be
the
you
tea.
and grow and change and improve yourself. Like, but again.
And you know what? If they don't like you for who you really are, they weren't the right person anyway.
No.
And that is an easy, like, clear out, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's better to find out in the beginning than years down the road, you know? And being like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like, they don't like me for, I'm like a different person. Like, you know,
I think it's finding someone whose jagged edges match up with your jagged edges, not someone that you have to sand down to be with, you know?
Beautifully said. Honestly, so true.
Yeah.
Because, like, everyone has their flaws. It's just, like, do you accept them or do you not?
Yeah, just find someone that, like, you know, Devin always says, like, find someone whose demons get along with yours. You know? Like, everyone has their faults, but it's just you have to internalize and be like, can I deal with these faults? Are these faults something that I can handle that over time won't wear me down and break me down?
Yeah.
And is it this person someone that can handle my demons without them slowly wearing them down and breaking them down? And again, it's different if, like, you're improving and growing together. You should always try to be a better person. That doesn't give you an excuse to be, like, lazy in your own self-reflection and improvement. But some things are just, like, inherent to you, and you have to find someone that matches up with that.
Yeah. Well said. I love that. Oh my gosh, we're already at 52.
And we're on the 10 of Cups.
Here we
the
go.
fulfillment of the Cups suite.
The 10 of Cups. There we are. Okay. Wow, we literally have like 8 minutes. Not joking.
Speaking of, in those last 8 minutes, if anyone wants a reading, feel free to put it in the chat if you want general, love, career, or finance. We will give you a 3-card reading before we're done today.
Okay. The 10 of Cups. Joy is found not in things, but in people. Life overflows with prosperity of the heart. Oh, I love that. The end of the rainbow is right here. It's another card with no downside. Its presence in a reading can only be a good thing. And it reminds us that the truest gifts in life aren't power or wealth, but rather having true friends and people who love us.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Great card. Beautiful card.
If this card lies in your future position, your efforts to connect with others will almost certainly lead to some sort of happily ever after. But remember that even bliss takes work to maintain, and no life, no matter how wonderful, is without its tough moments.
Yeah. So, I mean, mine basically says the same thing. 10 of Cups is the ideal, the fulfillment. It's like the happily ever after kind of. It's the, like, finding that fulfillment, finding that love, finding that happiness, having that relationship that's now stable. You're in a good place. Of course, always you have to maintain it, but, like, it's what we look for. You know, the 10 is the ultimate ending. It's that ideal. It's that goal. So it's just, like, happiness, emotional, like, love, fulfillment with family, fulfillment with friends. It's
Yeah.
just all good, all the time.
All of the above. Oh, I love it. And it's weird because the king and the queen and the page in my cards are the same in this. Like this is the king, the queen, and the page.
Okay, so they're
So-
all together.
Yeah, and it literally says in my book, like, oh shoot, I moved past it. It says the king and the queen worked hard over many years to create this perfect day and a nearly perfect life. And this card depicts the emotional satisfaction that we all long for. I love it.
That's.
What a great card.
I think we could probably do the court cards, like so the pages, the knights, and the kings and queens.
Yeah.
All like as one big,
Okay.
Yeah.
thing on another day.
Oh, okay.
Because they kind of have different meanings from the minor arcana in that like the court cards represent people and events and like messages and like I don't know. I think it's like they're good to compare side by side.
Okay.
I think they're easier to remember like what makes the Queen of Swords different than like the Queen of Cups, that kind of thing.
So true.
Also, Devin would like a general reading. So I think that's a great way to wrap up the episode.
Perfect. Okay. A general reading for Devin. Thank you so much, Devin, for watching. Kind of forced to, but
I should hope so.
yeah. I'm like, ooh, oh no, my card. I'm like, does that mean that it has to come out?
I think so. I think that needs to be the first one.
Okay.
It jumped out at you. It wants to be
It
heard.
did. It did. Maybe it's just my really shitty shuffling, but like, I don't know. It jumped out at me. I'll take it. I'll take it as a sign.
Yeah, we were just talking about signs from the universe, so
That is so true. Thank you. That really validated, like, what I should be doing right now. Okay. Let's shuffle her a little bit. I only need to pick 2 cards. Doing a general reading. Okay. Here we go. So, first one is the High Priestess. Then we've got, the 4 of Cups. Oh my gosh, Devin. And then the 5 of Wands. Okay, so the High Priestess is a major arcana card. And this is in your past. But the High Priestess, I don't really know much about her. Do you?
So from what I remember, trying to like quiz myself and not look immediately, she stands for like spiritualism. It's like that connection with a higher power or kind of like it stands for like your intuition, like depending on like your gut feeling, like knowing on the inside that something is right or wrong and just going with it. So like I think she stands for like spirituality and like instinct and intuition. But let me check.
It says, I think that's pretty much right. It says, represents deep wisdom. Sometimes that wisdom comes from outside of us, and sometimes it comes from within, but it rarely just lands on our laps accidentally. It encourages you to embrace your own power, inner wisdom, and knowledge to pursue such things outside of yourself as well. And it could be an indication that there's someone you can turn to for help. So it doesn't have to necessarily be you. It can be somebody else.
Right. Yeah. So
But like with the past, like maybe just like in the past, like you've maybe like struggled with knowing like your higher power or whatever. But like I think maybe I don't know. Like that one's a hard one.
Yeah.
Major Arcana is always hard for me.
Major Arcana, which we haven't gotten to yet, obviously.
Yeah.
We will. Minor Arcana usually is, as I said, like 1 to 10, varying strengths of like finance or career or love. But the Major Arcana are very much more obscure and vague.
Yeah.
They kind of stand for like general concepts and therefore can be interpreted a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So the High Priestess kind of stands for like mysteries, secrets. It stands for your intuition and like going with your gut and like getting a sense of like, again, trusting your instincts. It can also stand for like unfulfilled potential or like something that you've missed previously. Like maybe there was an avenue that you've thought about going down but haven't. It can talk about like the psyche and spirituality and esoteric matters, wisdom. So because that's in your past, it could mean that previously you've been known to go with your gut successfully. You've in the past trusted your instincts. You're very in tune with your gut feelings and you know what's right or wrong for you. Or it could mean that in the past you've had a gut feeling about something, but you didn't follow it up, and now there's kind of something in your past that like you've always wondered like what happens if, or there's something like secretive or mysterious that you've always kind of like wondered about and that you've had a gut feeling about that perhaps was left unexplored.
Yeah.
But knowing you, I feel like the correct interpretation is probably just that like you're very good with your gut instinct, and in the past you have followed the wisdom of your instincts and your intuition to great success.
Amazing. I'm now knowledgeable on the High Priestess. Thank you.
The Four of Cups is in your present position, and we've already talked about this, so like clearly you might be dissatisfied with something, and you might be waiting on like a certain opportunity to come around, and you can't do that. You just gotta like take the opportunity and like run with it. But like, don't sit here and like, you know, keep waiting for something to happen. Like, go out and do it if you're dissatisfied with something. But like, sometimes you just need to wait it out and see like, is it actually worth getting up and leaving, or is it just like I take the opportunity that comes in front of me and like not waiting for like the right one, but rather just making a decision when it appears and like when it comes around. And then the Five of Wands. Let's see. It means that you're dealing with some kind of chaotic situation involving other people. So like maybe with like family, coworkers, or friends, this could be happening in your future. And like you can't have everyone behave a certain way or like reasonably sometimes, but like, you know, it's good to know like, oh, this could be happening in my future, and like it's good to know now, so then it's like you can kind of put like a stop to it when it occurs. But like, you know, there's just like a lot. There's I'm like 5 roommates. I'm like the chaos.
That's true. Well, and the wands also usually refers to like a project or a career, and because let me just look at what your card looks like. But on mine, it's kind of similar. Yeah, it's like everyone kind of at each other's throats, squabbling, and so that could mean like in a project or in a work environment. In your future, there's going to be petty squabbles coming up, and this warns to either stay out of it if it's not involving you. It's not going to do you any good to include yourself in like these petty fights, so try to stay above it. Or it could mean to like always keep thinking with diplomacy and try to be as like cooperative and like try to quench the squabbles before they happen. Just try to keep everybody happy so that we can avoid this situation. It also does say, at least in mine, if you are looking to pitch an idea, or like if you have a new idea for a project or work, now is not the time to do it, because everyone is already kind of like in this upheaval state. Everyone's not settled down. They're not ready for new things. We have to deal with the problems in front of us now before we can move forward into the future.
Wow. That is crazy. Devin, keep an eye out. I'm like, 5 roommates, the 5 of Wands.
Maybe. It's
but
in
it
the
could also
future.
be
I don't
something
know
else
how far
too,
in
like,
the future too. Like,
yeah,
it could
right.
be tomorrow. It could be months from now.
Yeah.
Could
be years from now.
Who knows?
Who knows? Wow.
It'll all make sense when we look back on it.
That is so true. Well, it's
That
11
was it.
o'clock.
That was our look through the cups of the Minor Arcana. And thank you for everybody that asked for a reading. That was really fun. And it's really helpful to be practicing while we're learning, because that'll help keep everything ingrained in our heads even more. On Wednesday, we have our main campaign, Twitch Slays D&D. So this whole show was kind of spun off of, as we said, Nova's character, which Gianna plays, who's a tarot card reader. And you can see her character reading tarot and going up to all kinds of D&D hijinks every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. here on Twitch Plays D&D. It's a really cool concept if you haven't seen it already. It's a Twitch Plays style D&D campaign, so instead of just having all of our players play, the audience themselves also plays as a character, and you vote in the chat and you make decisions for one of the characters, and that Influence is everything. All the other characters has to react and do things with the audience all in unison. So
Yeah.
it's, if you haven't gotten your D&D fix through quarantine because you can't get together with your friends, this is a good way to do it. You can play D&D with us.
Yeah.
So tune in on Wednesday at 7 and watch Gianna play Nova. You won't see me because I will be behind the stage producing, but we will be having this show not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, and we'll be going over a different suit of cards, maybe wands, maybe pentacles. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Gotta tune in to
Yeah.
see.
So tune in 2 Sundays from now at 9 a.m. back here at Nova's Tarot Corner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.